Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty in Washington today? Well, let's ask him. Governor Pawlenty joins us live. He is back home in the state of Minnesota. Good evening, Governor.
Good evening, Greta.
All right, Governor, so why were you in town today?
Well, I was hosting a summit in conjunction with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce called Enterprising States, and it talked about the need for states to play a more aggressive, more wise role in job creation in this country, and really celebrating the fact that states are more nimble, more dynamic, more entrepreneurial than the federal government. Now we need to step it up and chart the course for economic development in this country because the federal government isn't doing it.
One of the ideas always from, especially out of the Chamber of Commerce, is to reduce business taxes, state business taxes. Why are states never competing with each other and trying to out-lower it to attract business and essentially steal business from another state?
Well, you know, I think if everybody focuses on having a positive job and business climate, it's a competition against each other, and overall that's going to lower tax burdens in the country. That's a good thing. The founders of this country talked about the states being the laboratories of democracy. Let them try new things. They're smaller, they're quicker, they're more nimble, they're more entrepreneurial. But one of the things the study showed that the Chamber released today is, as a general rule, states that have lower taxes and lower cost structures had more jobs and weathered the recession better than states that had high taxes and high government cost structures. And our own research in Minnesota also bears that out, Greta.
Well, it seems to make almost sense, though, because, I mean, the solution to everything in a pure sense is lots of jobs. And obviously we have a high unemployment rate of 9.7%. So how do you get jobs? One of the great jobs is to have businesses come to your state. One of the great ways to get business to your state is to make it a very nice economic environment for them. So you lower the taxes. You lower the taxes. At least I'd lower my taxes vis-a-vis the states around me so that the businesses came to my state and didn't go to the neighbors. So I've never understood why there is that high business tax, because the more jobs there are, the more income revenue to the state and the federal government.
Yeah, it's really not rocket science. If you look and go ask business people, not just the large businesses, but the medium-sized and small businesses and the people who would like to start businesses, they tell you what the secret to their success is, what the barriers to their success may be. And they basically say, keep my costs competitive as measured by taxes, regulation, insurance, permitting, energy costs, healthcare costs, and the like. So number one, keep those costs down. Don't price yourselves out of the market as a city, state, region, or county. And the states that do that, the places that do that, attract more jobs. But there's other things as well, Greta, including having a workforce that's skilled and educated. So places like Minnesota that have a highly educated, high-skilled workforce have an advantage there. And then we also celebrate, of course, innovation, experimentation, invention. Those are the kinds of things that give us an advantage compared to the rest of the world, because America still is the creative engine, and fostering the kinds of institutions and activities that give people that inventive spirit, that inventive training, that inventive background helps a great deal as well. And that's what the study showed also.
It's interesting, the summit that you had, usually you think of the Chamber of Commerce, at least I do, maybe I shouldn't, as a Republican organization. Your summit today was bipartisan. There were 7 governors, some Democrats, some Republicans, and as you examine sort of, what it is that works in different states. So now the question is, what are you going to do?
Well, in my state, Minnesota did well in some categories, not well in other categories. Our costs in my state need to come down. Our tax rates need to come down. I achieved a 30-year goal here in Minnesota of getting Minnesota out of the top 10 in taxes, but more needs to be done. If you look at some other states where there's been Democratic governors, my friend Phil Bredesen in Tennessee has made Tennessee a more business-friendly state. That's a state with no income tax. You see, a Democrat,
I mean, just
you bet.
A Democrat, right?
Yeah, pro-business, pro-jobs, a Democrat. Phil Bredesen's done a great job for his state. So Tennessee's an example of one of those states that have lower cost structures, are modernizing, getting higher wage jobs, and experiencing good growth.
Let me pick out just one of a sample of the top 10 performers that you have. Maryland. Why is Maryland doing so well? I mean, I shouldn't say, well, every state is struggling, but why is Maryland a top performer?
Each state has its own strengths, backgrounds, culture, history. In Maryland's case, they have a closeness to Washington, D.C., and all that implies in terms of government. That's one of the things that's unfortunately growing right now. But they also have a historical and current strength in research, health sciences. They got Johns Hopkins, the National Institute of Health. So they've got a cluster there of health sciences and research that is one of their strong assets and helps them a great deal.
And I suppose it also, as you look at these different states, as the Chamber of Commerce, and as you had the summit, you examine the different states, each state does have a different industry and a different need. I mean, the needs in industry, for instance, in Florida is vastly different than Minnesota.
Yeah, as a general rule, though, Greta, you're seeing a migration. We did a study in Minnesota of where money and people went from 2003, when I became governor, until the collapse of 2008. And as a general rule of thumb, money and people are migrating to the south and to the west because of in large part because those are more competitive states from a business and job standpoint. And the rest of our states, including the Great Lakes states like mine, have to be competitive. We're going to have to lower our costs, and that's what we've been working on in Minnesota.
Well, your unemployment rate, March 2010, is 7.4%, and that's down from a year earlier when it was 8.1% in March, and below the national average. Why is Minnesota at 7.4%, which I'm sure is the envy of many states?
Well, in the first year of the Obama administration, as a percent of our overall job base, we lost the smallest percentage of jobs, I think, in the country. We've got a number of assets here. We've got a highly educated workforce. We've got a inventive and high-tech economy, but it's also diverse. We've got everything from agriculture all the way to medical devices. So we've got it spread around a little better than many other states. It doesn't rise or fall quite as hard as some other parts of the country because of their over-reliance on just one economic sector.
We only have 30 seconds left. The stimulus program, how much has it helped you?
Well, the stimulus program mostly sustained government, and that's the one thing the report addressed again today. We could have gotten much more bang for the buck with a smaller stimulus program aimed at tax cuts, like cutting the payroll tax for employers and employees, focusing on non-porky, non-earmarked infrastructure like roads and bridges. But that's not what the stimulus bill did. President Obama and the Congress took it off in a very bad direction.
Governor, thank you. Hope you join us again soon, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
Greta.
you.